What up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Creeps of the Crypt. I'm your host, John, and along with me is my co-host.
Hey, other Alan here with a brand new mic. Thanks to John over here. He sent me a nicer mic, so let's see how I sound next time you guys get a chance to listen to this.
Yeah, if they would comment, it would be nice, but, you know, not many people comment.
We'll show ourselves, and please comment.
Yeah, we'll show ourselves. Your mic sounds much better than mine, I think, to be honest, and it's kind of funny because mine's...
Well, I got it all set up through the Focusrite device he gave me, doing with the XLR cable, so I figured that would be the best way to go. It only cost me $10, and it's like 6 feet long. A little bit long than I need it for, but that's what they had available on a short notice. But yeah, it sounds like it's pretty good when I was testing it.
Yeah,
so
it looks like it's pretty good
for you too.
Yeah. And try to keep them leveled at the same level.
I'm professional now, guys.
We all are, even though we're not on camera. So this episode of Tales from the Crypt is episode 4 of season 3, and it's titled ABRA CADAVER, and it's one of the highest rated episodes of the season. It was released on June 19th, 1991, and it was directed by Stephen Hopkins and written by, I don't know how to say his last name, Birge. Oh, I don't know. But Stephen Hopkins, he directed Predator 2. And he also directed A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, the worst one. He directed a bunch of stuff besides that, but, you know, those are the big ones that he's known for, I guess. I believe he just did a movie. Oh, he worked on 24 Legacy, that garbage 24 season, and he did a couple of episodes of 24 also.
Nobody watched.
Yeah. So, this is why he had failures after kind of like what's that fucking movie I was just talking about? Okay, so he did first he did A Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Child, then he did Predator 2. Then he did Judgment Night, which is a movie I like. It's with Cuba Gooding Jr., Emilio Estevez, Dennis Leary's the bad guy. It's a really good... Jeremy Piven's in it when he was fat and bald. Now now Jeremy Piven's skinny in his hair, but this is, real Jeremy Piven. And it's a good movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Jeremy Piven. No, I never heard of this one.
Judgment
Night.
Night.
Check it out.
Yeah,
it sounds like a good
I like it. It's I don't know. I saw it when I was a kid on like Cinemax or HBO one night, and I was like, this is good. I was like, I like this stupid movie. It's just like, it's unbelievable. Jeremy Piven, Dennis Leary's the bad guy, and he goes to the hood. It's really good though. It's really good. I think Ethan Hawke is in it. I could be wrong. I could be.
I was looking through this guy's.
It's Stephen Dorff. That's credits. Who it is. Huh?
Oh, okay. I was looking through his directorial credit. I think, he directed some episodes of the actual good 24.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a couple of directing jobs under his belt. So, and a few Californication. I remember that show.
I loved movies so much, right? I didn't care what movie it was. Like when I was a teenager, like 12 or 13. So I'd have posters on my wall, and like I had the Titanic poster. Why? Why would any preteen kid have the Titanic poster? I liked the movie, but what the fuck? All right. So I had that, and then I had the Ghost. The Ghost of the Darkness. I remember watching this because it was like Val Kilmer. I love Val Kilmer. I love Batman. I love The Island of Dr. Moreau, even though that movie sucks ass. And I watched the Ghost, and I had the poster. I didn't watch the movie yet. Because you go to Blockbuster, they sell posters. So I just bought posters. I didn't know what the fuck. I was trying to find who I was as a kid. And I
found to make your room your own with what you're posting up on posters.
Yeah. And I put the Ghost of the Dark, and when I watched that movie, I tore that poster down from my wall. I was like, this is so fucking boring. So so he did those movies, and I think maybe, I don't know, Lost in Space probably ended his career pretty much doing films. He's been doing TV since, so that sucks. But it was also written by Birge, who has no writing credits. So we're going back to the old ways of Tales from the Crypt, when they had one good writer last episode, the Michael J. Fox episode. He was a fantastic writer. He wrote an episode. Other than that, I mean, Fred Decker's also a good writer, but normally they just put, how would I say, like random people, and we all know this. We've been doing this for a while now. So yeah, so those are two people, the writer and the director. And why don't you tell us what this episode is about in a little synopsis? Give us a short synopsis.
That's a bit hard without getting to the meat and potatoes of it, but yeah, it stars the two actors here, kind of more in the more or less the main two that play brothers, Beau Bridges and Tony Goldwyn. So Beau Bridges is Martin, and the other guy is Carl. So they play like I guess students in the medical field, or so at least what we saw them as when we first started the episode. They were kind of looking into dead bodies or examining them, right?
No, Beau Bridges is not. The brother is Carl from.
The brother is, but yeah.
Yeah, Carl from Ghost.
Well, I think he was aspiring to be one, some kind of surgeon, from what I understood.
Yeah, he was going to take a test.
Yeah, they're looking at over cadavers pretty much, and yeah, the brother Carl, pranks his brother into like one of the bodies moving and actually, coming alive, and ever since then, yeah, they both are working in that medical field still. I would say maybe a few years after, and he's kind of like more on the higher end of the spectrum there, and he's trying to get his brother into like teaching kids in college, but he just wasn't really having it. That's kind of like a bit of the synopsis.
That's
there.
You try not to spoil it. Yeah, you try not to spoil anything. Yeah. So yeah, basically like
kind of what we start out after that happens.
Yeah. Well, I guess we just say basically it's a short. I mean, the episode's probably one of the longest episodes they have, surprisingly enough, and it's really just a very simple story. Yeah, it's like they stretched it out a lot. Now, before we talk about I was looking for this everywhere right before we started recording, but you found the episode that this is the comic that this is based off of.
Yeah, like it made it a little bit of it was different because we're not used to seeing the comic being named after a different story that from another episode. But yeah, it's based on the comic Dead Right. I think it's in the Tales from the Crypt number 50 something, 55, 57, I think it was. Let me see here. And yeah, practically it's the story of the same thing. It's similar aspects. It's just named after another episode that we watched before, which was confusing. I thought it would be named after this one, but I guess they took liberties in the name of the episode.
That's interesting. It says it's from
it is pretty spot on.
Issue 21. Dead Right. That's the episode, and it's I see. So I'm looking at the pictures right now at the comic book. It's interesting. Yeah, because when I looked it up, they told me issue 33, and then I went to issue 33, and there was no story there, and I was like, what the hell is it talking about? But yeah, so these two guys are brothers. One's in medical school, learning, like wanting to become, I don't know. It seems like the same thing his brother does, who's a surgeon. So they went to the morgue to look at hearts, and then he's like testing him on what he's seeing. Like, look at this one. This one has this. Come on, you should know this. It's very simple. That's Beau Bridges' character because he is the older brother, the surgeon already. And so the younger brother's looking around, and he sees a body because he's like, I can't do this one. And he has a beautiful mullet. And he's looking around, and he sees a cadaver that's naked. And he starts being a little bit inappropriate with this cadaver. He starts rubbing it.
A handful there.
Yeah, grabbing things and doing things. This is a female cadaver. And his brother's not having it. He says, you're disgusting. Just like, what are you doing? Like, you can't be doing this.
Completely throwing out that rule book of ethics. Just having your way with some dead chick on the table.
Yeah. And then...
he commented that her nipple got hard. And
yes,
like, because Beau Bridges goes in about to touch it, and then out of nowhere the body came alive, and the woman and behind him his brother was getting grabbed by another dead person. But look, I was about to mention if you noticed
boom mic,
if there was any influence on this one.
Oh, I thought you were gonna notice.
Like in black and white.
No, I thought you were gonna ask if I noticed the boom mic, because when he's gonna touch the boobie, the boom mic is shown coming down.
I need to watch that real
Yeah.
quick as we were talking about it.
But
oh shit, you're right.
yeah, I noticed that when I was
Very
watching
quickly.
it earlier. I was like, oh. But yeah, so she, which is, but see, the problem why he's excited kind of to hear that her nipple got hard is because he was talking kind of right before about his theory about how the mind could still function while the body's dead. How he's looking to, like, that's his research. He's been researching that, and like his brother took him away from that research to help him. That's what like he was researching that or something. I think believes that's what he says. And his brother asked him to come help him, but really was to surprise him for his birthday. So the girl jumps and attacks him. Another zombie comes up and attacks him, and then the brother has a heart attack. Well, he doesn't have a heart attack right away until he realizes it's a fake. And then he's like, "Oh, it's all fake." He goes, "Yeah, happy birthday." He's like, "I thought you forgot." And he's like, "No." So there's a loving relationship between these two brothers. Just one's more serious, the other one's more loose. But the loose one still wants to be a doctor, is taking it serious. But his older brother doesn't think he's taking it serious, because he's just playing a game on him. And then he has a heart attack, and his brother's like, right away, call the ambulance or whatever. So we fast forward. Doesn't say how many years later. He might have said later on how many years later it was. But we see that the younger brother now kind of took his brother's position in a sense, even though his brother was a surgeon. He says, like, he was a great surgeon. He had a beautiful career going forward. I could see his brother taking up this role that Carl takes at the end. So not the end. Like when we fast forward, Carl's like the head now of the entire department in the hospital. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they had it labeled on his door, Chief of Pathology. So I think that's what his title is.
So he's the head of the morgue, or I don't know. Pathology is a pathologist, or the people that do the autopsies. I thought so. I could be wrong, but how he's the head of all the doctors that do that. But then he's also giving funding to his brother, because he discovers while they go to the office, one of his new girlfriends, the girl that was with him, probably dumped him because she caused his brother to have a heart attack. So she left him probably, and now he's with a new girl, and she's upset. Yeah, she's upset that.
Yeah, she probably felt bad.
Yeah, I would assume. I mean, I'd be like, but I don't know. Yeah, I could never see this person again.
His brother's kind of more in a managerial role now, because just looking at what the chief pathologist does, just more a medical professional that plans, directs, and evaluates tissue and specimens. So that's kind of where he's at. It seemed like that's where his brother was prior to the whole thing where he had a heart attack. So so kind of role reversal there.
Yeah.
I wanted to add a real quick thing there. It was cool to see the episode. You noticed that because it was black and white for a couple minutes, and did it feel more like a Night of the Living Dead type of deal they're trying to do?
I don't know.
Kind of homage.
I don't know if that's what I think they were just trying. No, I don't think so. I think they were maybe, but I don't think so. I think the main purpose of that was just to show, without putting a caption card that says 10 years later. I feel like that's all it was.
I just found it odd that they would have it in black and white and then go back to color. So I guess you're right. I guess you could say it's kind of a way to showcase this is not current times. It's just something that happened prior to the main story.
It could be also like a little kind of like a Night of the Living Dead type, homage to. Maybe. I mean, you have to ask the director.
That's why I asked, because that's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have
when I saw it the first time.
You'd have to really ask the director. I would assume no. I think he's trying to be artsy. I mean, I don't know about Predator 2. I haven't seen that since I was a child. But Freddy's, Nightmare on Elm Street 5 is kind of like trying to be this artsy shit. I mean, he did have a comic book character in that movie. Then there was a whole black and white sequence there too, where Super Freddy comes up and it's a bodybuilder dressed in the Freddy costume, and he kills the comic book artist. That's also the thing. He thinks comic books are all black and white, I guess, because in Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the comic artist, the drawer, he draws. So he doesn't paint, or he's not the inker or whatever the fuck. So he
forgot about that. That was kind of dumb, but yeah.
Yeah. So he does. So
I get that's kind of what he was doing. Yeah, it's like an artistic style, or a way to showcase the scene differently to kind of get you, I don't know, paying attention. I don't know, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of what I gather from it. More on the lines of some kind of homage. But yeah, it could just be that, knowing what the guy ended up doing, later on, and what we've seen him do. I don't remember about Predator 2, but for sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't remember Predator 2. But yeah, so he goes to see he gets a bill. He goes to see his brother spent a lot of money on something, some ridiculous thing. I forgot what it was exactly. So he goes to scold
Well, it's going back to that theory again they mentioned about, can they maintain the brain activities while, the corpse is dead and all that. And then they put out this stereotypical, a bunch of voodoo shit he had alongside, like, it's really like fancy looking sci-fi computers, like a reanimator and some stupid Steven Seagal fighting the Jamaicans voodoo. And
it's like Predator almost, like, but you know what it is?
Yeah, it's like futuristic and also like some old school voodoo combined is weird.
Yeah, because if I remember Predator right, and again, people, I have not seen it in years since I was a child. It's Predator 2. I believe it's the future, but it's not. It's the present, but everything in the present is the future looking. Like, kind of like, I don't know. It was weird. It was like the present, but all the gangs are like, I haven't seen it in a long time. But I will say that he goes to the computer that looks straight out of a fucking Goosebumps book.
Yeah.
Where he's like, he presses, and there's two bodies on either side, and then everything's 90s computerized VR Troopers, Power Rangers style bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's got
blinking LEDs.
The computer keyboard's there, and then for some reason he has a giant ball from like in the middle, like that's the mouse. It's just a humongous like gaming, like when you go to the arcade and there's a ball that you use instead of the fucking joystick or whatever. And I'm like, what is this? And then he presses he's talking about the two bodies. He presses a button, and all of a sudden, yeah, like you said, it looks like the replicators from Star Trek. It comes up, and then all of a sudden this voodoo shit slides out, and it's lit, and it's smoking. And you know what's funny too?
It's so stereotypical.
Well, you know what's funny is that I'm working on a voodoo video right now on my YouTube channel, and this episode comes up. I actually use clips from Till Death, the voodoo stuff from that episode. I used it in my video, so it's just funny that this is. But I couldn't use this scene because it looks ridiculous if it was to slide out. It's like that's not. Yeah, it's voodoo, but was this futuristic voodoo? What is this shit? But anyway, so they're arguing. Because the brother does not believe this. He says this is bullshit. And he's like, no, I went to Haiti, and there's this does he say this drug that they use called like waking up the dead?
Something like that. I don't know what he called it, but he pulls out this big syringe, and it's like the most it's like out of that reanimator with the neon green piss color juice that he shows his brother that after he had a drink, he started feeling the effects of it. He's pretty much gonna almost appear like he's dying, he's dead, but he's still aware.
Well, you forgot that he poisoned the drink.
Yeah, he poisoned it.
He poisoned it to he poisoned it with something to make his brother feel like he was getting a heart attack, right?
He gave him a sip of whiskey, like he put it in the whiskey.
Yeah, but he gave him well, he says later what it was, but it felt like it was something to make him feel like he was going to have a heart attack, but then the serum actually gave him I don't know. As you say, you really did have a heart attack, but you were fine. He basically gave him a heart attack. And he says, you were fine. But anyway, that was jumping ahead. Anyway, so he gave him something to drink, and he says he put a poison in there, he's dying. He's having a heart attack, he collapses, and then the brother tells him that he's resentful, basically that he fucked his life up, that he had a promising career as a surgeon, but you need both hands to have a surgeon, and after he had the heart attack, he has no use of one of his hands. He even describes what the terminology is for this that he has. And then he shows him, like you said, the green fucking lime green vial from Reanimator, which is probably a homage to Reanimator, to be honest, I would assume.
That I could see being one too, yeah. Another Easter egg.
I bet you they wanted fucking Jeffrey Combs in this episode in some way, shape, or form, but they couldn't get him for a little role or something. I mean, mind you, Jeffrey Combs was in an episode of Freddy's Nightmares.
Damn, this is the compromise we get.
I know. This one came out in '91, right?
Yeah,
so this came
Jeff
out.
Bridges' brother.
This came out the same year, I believe, as this episode came out the same year as Ghost, where Terry Goldwyn is in Ghost. Oh no, Ghost came out 90, so it came out a year before. Okay, so that's why they put him in this. As we've heard, because we have a friend named John who used to we worked on the show at one point, and he told us that you just have to be friends with the people that worked on it, which is kind of good in a sense. I mean, we know that Leah Thompson said the same thing. Her husband just gave her the role, and I think the only one that has auditioned for that we spoke to is Lee Arenberg, right? He's the only one that said he auditioned for it. Actually, he didn't say he auditioned, but he said the day he had to do the table read, that all the producers were there, and then they saw how he did it, and they all left. They left him alone because they said he could handle it. So that's interesting. So anyway, Carl has a heart attack, and his brother injects him with that thing, and then he says, look, he's talking to him, and he's responding. It's basically this, what they did in the future, they would take this episode and fucking copy it and make a movie called Awake with Hayden Christensen. Because that's what this was. But they add a little plot twist and shit. Hayden Christensen goes in to get surgery, heart surgery, and he could feel everything that's going on. And then in his brain, all these things are happening, and he discovers that the surgery is going to be botched by his best friend, I think. I haven't seen that in years, which was played by Terrence Howard, and his girlfriend was in on it. She was cheating and all this stuff. I don't remember it. But that's basically the premise is that your brain still functions while you're happy. Well, even when you die, in this case, because when you do heart surgery, you basically die. When they take out your heart, you're dead, right? They keep you alive somehow. I don't even know. My dad had open heart surgery. I don't know how they do it, but anyway.
Open heart surgery, Maine is steel. I always think about those stupid Terrence Howard memes with all the superheroes. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. How's it going, man? Yeah, so awake, man. So basically, this premise is he's talking to his brother while his brother's dead, and he's telling him you're dead, and his brother doesn't believe him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you don't believe me, right?" So he puts on the fucking thing. He puts on. I'm gonna try not to curse anymore. So he puts on that thing that detects your heartbeat on a heart monitor, and it's just flatline, and he's like, "See, you're dead." And then he's just antagonizing his dead brother, which is so. If your brother really was dead, and let's say he really died, and he was wrong, and let's say he's wrong, that there's no brain function whatsoever, right? Then you're just being cruel to a dead body, like.
Yeah, like that was just super personal, I guess.
Yeah, like imagine somebody walked in and go, "What are you doing?" Oh, nothing.
Right, that's true.
You're kind of being like vindictive to that body. Like, what did that person do to you? Fuck up. Okay.
Well, his brother gave him a heart attack, so I can't say I blame him.
Yeah. So then he takes him to another room, and then they pull this elaborate long prank on him that was pretty good. So much so that at one point they put him on a meat hook, and he slides out of it.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool parts in here, like when they cut him in the back, and you're like, "Oh." So I don't remember.
Overacting was a little much on his end, him going through the pain, but like what they were, showing from POV from him, it was cool. Him watching him swing, as you see these other dead bodies, and that was a good little touch there. But yeah, I couldn't get into it fully because his acting was just it sounded like a parody out of like South Park, one of the South Park guys doing a voice. Oh no, I'm getting cut off or something. It just made me laugh. It was just overacting there.
I actually didn't like. I actually liked his. When you look at this, you said overacting, I was thinking about the guy who's playing the mortician, the Jamaican guy.
That guy's overacting too. He was in that one Jamaican movie that Steven Seagal, was hunting down these like voodoo Jamaican guys. I think he was one of his like police that was a Rasta.
He's in an episode of Star Trek, one of the Voyager, where Neelix and Tuvok go to the transporter and they try to beam him up, and they accidentally come back up as one person. And they're one person is him, and he's played by Tuvix, they call him. From Tuvok and Neelix, he's Tuvix. He's both of them together, and he's one person. He says, "I'm my own person. I'm not them." And then they had to basically kill him. So they did things back in Star Trek, and back in the day, they wrote things very well. They don't do things now like that. They'll just hammer it over your head. So yeah, that's where I know him from. Yeah. from that episode. So I thought overacting. I thought his Jamaican, you make crazy man. He seemed like a character from in Living Color used to do a skit with the Jamaicans, and he goes, "You only have how many jobs does he have? 2 jobs. He only has 2 jobs." Like that was the whole skit that Jamaicans work real hard. You know, they have like 5 jobs. So that the daughter was dating a guy who only had 2 jobs. So that was funny. So that's what he was acting like. But I thought the other guy was fine. I guess I'm just a fan of Ghost, the movie Ghost, and he was. I guess you could say he is a little bit over actor, especially when he's.
It's not the worst, but there were some moments. The screams could have been a bit better.
I hate if I ever was to talk to him, and then he was like, "So I'm an over actor." I'm like, "Hey, that was my co-host. He said that. I think you're a fine actor. I'm surprised you didn't have a much bigger career, to be honest with you."
Funny how those correlate, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I would say I still stand by it, but he was still good regardless out of those scenes. It's just that the voiceover over when we're listening to his head while they're doing all this setup for him to get his skull opened up and his face peeled by the nursing students, or not nursing, the medical students coming in to observe. Those parts. Pretty cool. Pretty cool once you see the outcome. It was a prank. It was a joke.
Yeah. So that's all it is. The episode's very short, because they just like it's just they made it longer for just adding a Jamaican guy, like his.
If he cut that out, it would have been a little bit more shorter.
Yeah.
The scenes with the Jamaican guy.
So
at first I thought he was going to sell his organs or something, and then he just ended up being, I guess, another guy he was working with in the medical field, but he just happened to be Jamaican. So and big ups on diversity here in this episode.
And then he goes, so he says, "Oh, the brother goes, I took your advice, and I took that teaching gig you were offering me." So he goes, "This is my class." And he goes, "They're going to cut your brain open." So they do the whole thing. He marks him, and I was wondering when I was a kid, and even now, because I almost didn't, that one scene I remembered when the blood comes down from the camera's pan, because we're getting the whole episode's like, most of the time we're getting his POV of looking at his brother and things like that. So we're getting that at the end when his brother's going to saw his, skull open and remove his brain, which would stop the brain function completely, right? I mean, unless his brain still functions outside of it, that'd be fucking crazy, right? So he's antagonizing him, cuts and says, using the saw, and he's screaming, no, and the blood comes down, and I was like, how's that the blood has to be in his eyes then, in order for him to see the blood. If he's seeing blood coming down, right, while his brother's doing this, and the blood has to be in his eye. And luckily enough, they kind of have it that it is in his eye when he gets up, because he finally has his finger finally has movement, and he's like, I feel my finger. I can feel it, right before they're gonna cut his head open, and he jumps up and he said, "No!" And they start laughing, and then he sees the fake brain that they took out of him, and there's fake blood, and he does have blood going down his eye, and it was all a prank. And he tells him that, yes, this is what I found. Now, if somebody dies, or somebody let's say, what does he say exactly? Like, what if somebody was to not die? Hold on, I forgot what he says. Like, I
don't remember.
Let me see what he says.
But yeah, I mean, just from his perspective, they did a pretty decent job making it look like they were doing stuff with him. But I guess up until the blade part, because at least what we see later on. If they were really cutting into him, that blood would be kind of squirting a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So
probably get some.
Oh,
might have to wear
they would have got Well, then again, he's been dead for, supposedly in his mind, he's been dead for a few days. So would the blood be squirting? I don't know.
I mean, I guess unless they had.
And they drained him. Remember, they drained.
Like
they drained him.
I remember. Yeah. I remember from that other episode, they're draining the bodies.
Yeah, but they were draining him here too earlier. The Jamaican drained him. So he goes, "Oh, there's my blood." Oh,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that part.
So
Okay, so I'll let that slide then.
he calls it. He says, "I injected." He goes, "That's what I've been working on. That that I spend all the money on is this thing." And he shows him the green, which I loved. I have to look into how they did it. They just take a highlighter, cut it, and put it in a bottle of water or something, because it's I've never even tried to do that. But he says, "I call it suspensor. In the event of a catastrophic injury or heart failure, it preserves brain function." But like, what is that good for? If you have a catastrophic,
that's what I was wondering. Never got that far into it, unless they were doing brain transplants already in this this timeline.
But even if you were, do they do brain transplants? I don't think they do brain transplants.
I haven't heard of any successful ones, but that's.
I mean, would you?
Maybe that's what I was thinking of that they're gonna end up trying to do in this episode. Oh yeah, that's the whole point of that running joke on Futurama with the the brain in the glass, where they would hope at some point in the future be able to do that, or they preserve them, something like that.
I bet you
for this episode, since it was kind of futuristic, I was thinking that was gonna be the case, what they were maybe gonna lead to, but they didn't really go that far. It was just more of a cruel, messed up way to showcase that this experimental formula his brother's been working on actually works, and then lo and behold, his brother gets a heart attack just like him, and the episode ends with them trying to revive him, and we don't know if he's managed to come back or die. Oh, well, yeah, we do, and then he transitions to the next scene where. Yeah, he's pretty much in the morgue again, and he's about to get.
And he goes, "That was the best part." That was the best part.
The drug was so experimental. Like, they actually just believed he died again, and
no, he did die.
He's still awake again. He's still awake, and
no. Wait. He does die, but the drug is still in him because he injected him before he went to save brain function. So yes, now this is the real drug. He didn't inject him before with it, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think he did. He said, "I injected you with this," and this is because he initiated.
He put more in his brother. We saw before the scene faded out.
Because he initiated the heart attack. That was the drink. The drink actually did give him the heart attack. The injection was to preserve the brain function. So he was feeling and everything. Now he didn't give him enough. He gave him a short amount that lasted only 3 hours the first time. Now this time he actually gave him enough to try to save his life or his brain function after. So much so that yes, he died. He had, I guess they sent him to the morgue, and he's there. And these two other doctors go, "It was an accident, blah blah blah." And he goes, "Okay." And then they go to cut his brain open this time, and he goes, "But you were wrong. It does work. It does say," like he goes, "But you were wrong. Feeling isn't the first thing that goes, it's the last." And he starts screaming as they're fucking actually cutting his brain apart now. I was like, that's great. That's why it makes it a good episode. At the end of it all, it honestly comes down to that one scene, those lines, the ending makes this one high rate for me at least.
It is a solid one. It definitely has got a good replay value to it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the season, but it's definitely top 5. I think once we get into the season more,
we'll see.
For sure it'll probably be up there.
Yeah.
More so than the other ones that got rated higher. A la the Yellow, we'll get into at some point later on.
Oh yeah,
it's good. I really enjoyed it. I think the performances were solid. I just had a small criticism of some of those scenes with Carl being under, but otherwise solid. I guess quickly to glance over the comic. I don't know if you had a chance to look over it. The story is relatively the same idea. Two colleagues discussing that same medical theory, and one of them says he's gonna steal his fortune, and then he puts the guy under that drug, and he's aware of what's happening. He just can't move, and he's clinically dead, but his brain's there. Same thing. They go and tell him it's a prank right when they're about to bury him, and he just couldn't. I don't think he ever was able to wake up. I think that's how the comic ended.
Yeah, I couldn't read the comics. I have to look at it. I was looking for it everywhere, and I should have just asked you because you always find them. The funny, a little bit of tidbit here, because we've been saying his name Carl for the entire time, and I go, I think that was his name in Ghost. I was like, I don't want to say it. Yes, his name was Carl in Ghost. I don't know if they changed his name or the script to be Carl just because, because I would assume, I think that movie really, I know he was in other things prior to to
Did you have a poster of Ghost in your
no,
room?
I did not have a poster of Ghost in my room when I was a kid. But I think maybe the Ghost kind of like elevated his career a little bit at that point. I'm really am surprised. You know he's been working. He's
Oh, that's a
constantly
pretty big
working.
movie at the time, right?
Yeah,
That's,
it was a great movie.
so yeah,
But
definitely helped.
I'm just saying I'm surprised that I he he had a he has a good he had a good career. He has a good career. He's still working. He was actually the first film he ever did was he was the cousin that was supposed to go to Jason Lives in Friday the 13th, the one where the Tommy Jarvis comes back and he wants to make sure Jason's dead, even though he's an adult, and then he sticks the fucking rod into Jason's chest, well, with all the maggots. He starts stabbing him, and then the fucking lightning hits.
that part was cool.
Okay, and then Horshack's there for some reason. Horshack is Tommy Doyle's friend, and Horshack gets killed. Tommy Doyle, Tommy Jarvis, and so Tommy Jarvis runs away. Yeah, and then later when he takes that thing out of him, Jason, and the first person he kills, I believe, is Carl from Ghost and from this episode. That's the first thing I think he was ever in. The first thing I remember him in, and then later he just did TV, and then he did Ghost, and then I thought his career would have been a little bit. I'm not saying he has. Look, I'm not downplaying. He had a good career. He's still working. He's done a lot of things. He hasn't stopped working. He's worked his whole career, you know, since the first time. But I'm just saying, like, I thought he'd be in like more prominent role. You know what I mean? Especially after doing a movie like Ghost, where he was a very significant part. I mean, there's 4 people in that movie, and every single one of them. Well, there's 5, I think, but every single one of them carry the film. There's Sam, who's Patrick Swayze. There's Molly, Demi Moore. There's Oda Mae, Whoopi Goldberg, and there's Carl, played by Tony Goldwyn. So, and then there's Willie Lopez, but I don't know who the fuck.
Ensemble piece.
Yeah, well, not really. They kind of, I guess, but they all have they all are important to the story, and they all give good performances. Anyway, let's talk about this. That's all I want to say about him. He's a good actor, I think. I don't think he was overacting, but I like this episode. So
you're still bothered about that comment?
No. But then again,
the guy in the episode, it's just those scenes.
The Jamaican guy is a good actor in other things. In this one, I thought he was overacting. But yeah, I'd give this episode 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know if that's higher than the last episode. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I don't remember.
We rated it the same. I think we rated it about the same, 4 out of 5, I believe. But we'd have to double check.
No, I think you gave the last one a 3.5, because it was originally 3.8, right. And I said 0.8. I said, when did we start giving 0.8?
Through 3.8.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
So I gave the last one a 4, and this one a 4. I like both of these, honestly, differently. Like, I do like this episode, even though there's some corny ass shit in there. I do like this episode very much so.
Basically, yeah, I'm gonna give it the same rating as you. 4 out of 5 is solid. I would rewatch this again. It's up there so far of the ones we watched. Crazy to think how I once thought Love to Death was pretty solid, and then rewatching it wasn't as good as I remembered it being. But ABRA CADAVER is solid episode. I think I like what they were doing, and it feels like a pretty meaty episode too. It doesn't feel like it goes by quick. It's solid for what it is.
It feels like it goes on a little too long. That's why I gave it a 4 out of 5, actually.
Yeah, I guess if you cut out the scenes with the Jamaican, I guess that's would save you some time there.
Yeah, but that's that, and we got to talk to my friend John to ask him a couple of questions for the next episode that we're going to talk about for Tales from the Crypt.
John, you mean Mr. John Lovitz?
Yes, my buddy.
He will be in the next episode called Top Billing.
Yes, he's in the next episode. He's my buddy. I've known him for a long time. Anyway, guys, that's all we have for today. That's our review for season 3, episode 4, ABRA CADAVER of Tales from the Crypt. Yes. Do you want to shout out anything?
Nothing. Just you can follow me on X. I'm under Splinter47, and that's all I really got to promote. I don't really do too much on the YouTube sphere besides this. So there's that, and yeah, looking forward to talking about top billing. The next episode with Mr. John Lovitz. We got a couple of questions answered from him, and look forward to adding them on the show so you guys can listen to it at home.
Yeah, and I just have a couple of things I want you to please go check out ghostcrusadersmerch.com. There's some cool shirts there for you guys might like. Also, if you want to interact with us, you could do it on YouTube at just look for Ghost Crusaders TV on YouTube, or is it Ghost Crusader TV? I don't know. Just look up Ghost Crusaders TV. You'll find me on YouTube, or Rumble, or Odyssey, or BitChute, or wherever video streaming. These podcasts are up there too. Also, you could follow us on X at Creeps of Crypt if you want to message us and let us know what you thought about this episode. Or you could go on YouTube and comment in the comment section, because this goes up the same day as it does on Apple, Spotify, everywhere. This also goes up on YouTube the same day. And you can leave a comment down below in the comment section. Let us know what you thought about this episode. And yeah, so that's all we have for this week. We will talk to you guys next time.
Peace. Take care, guys.
Peace.